Hey guys, it's Sarah Kay at I Will Travel On. And before I talk about anything else, I just want to point out these bananas that are growing here in my backyard because I think they're really awesome and I can't wait to eat them. And the other thing I want to talk about today is the idea of legalism and how truly deadly and lethal it can be. So for me, I learned about legalism early on and growing in my Christian faith, but I didn't fully understand what it was or how bad it was. And so I remember wondering, what makes legalism so wrong or so terrible? Because it was really obvious to me how the idea of license was really bad, like the idea of just doing whatever you wanted and just making really destructive choices for yourself. That seemed obvious how that was problematic, but the idea of just like adding a few more rules to your life to help you, I don't know, maybe live a little bit better, that didn't seem like such a big problem. So I didn't really know how to quite grasp the concept of legalism really until I started experiencing some of the effects of living in a legalistic culture. I didn't even know that I was living in one until my body started responding in ways that were strange. So for me, that looked like debilitating anxiety, which was something that I didn't really experience growing up. It wasn't really part of who I was or what I was used to. But suddenly I was just so scared to make choices about anything. And I didn't have this idea in my mind, but at the core of it, I was so scared that I was stuck, that no matter what choice I made, I was going to be a bad person for making that choice, that somebody would be disappointed in me somehow, maybe a spiritual mentor, or maybe God, or maybe just myself for not being able to live up to a certain moral standard. And I started getting headaches, and my throat would get sore and be really tight, and I would think that I was sick, or I would get stomach aches, and just my body could tell something wasn't right, that all was not well with the world. But like I said, I didn't know how to sort of explain that or categorize what was going on or happening to me. And so I just kept living, but a lot of the joy and motivation and desire was just stripped away from my life, that I became sort of this shell of myself. And because I was so afraid of being this terrible person for not living up to a particular standard, I eventually started to feel like maybe death was the only way out. Like, if I can't be a good enough person to exist here, then everybody, including myself, would probably just be better off if I didn't exist. And thankfully, I had some people around me who could see what was happening with me and could see that I wasn't myself, that I had lost my joy, that these rules had sort of taken over and hijacked me and my life and my joy. And so they started encouraging me to do more of the things that I love. Stepping back from the things that were just too anxiety provoking, like so much anxiety provoking that I just would have these panic attacks. These friends, these good friends, told me that it was okay, that I didn't have to do these things, that my life and my well-being were more important than the things that I did. And at first that was super uncomfortable for me. Like, I didn't like that at all because I didn't feel like it was true. I didn't feel like it was okay for me to step back. I didn't feel like it was okay for me to focus on just being all right or just doing what I needed to do in order to be a functional person. Like, it didn't feel like it was okay to do that. But the more and more these people persisted with me and encouraged me that it absolutely was okay and that my life was more important than the things that I did, it began to sink in. It began to teach me that my value doesn't come from the things that I do, and it never has. But that idea that I only am valuable, I only deserve to exist if I live this certain standard, that idea was the thing that was so lethal. That idea was the thing that was stealing my joy. That idea was the thing that was making life totally miserable and make death seem like the attractive thing. It was my own association of my worth and value with living up to a certain standard that made life terrible and that almost killed me. And so I think now that I've gone through that experience, when I look or think about the idea of legalism, I no longer say, oh, it's just a few more rules to make your life look a little better. Because honestly, the rules never, ever end. Like, if you do one thing, then you have to do it better, and then you have to do this. And it's just this never-ending ladder, this rat race that gets you nowhere, but you think that it will, but it leaves you feeling like you can't do anything, and it's terrible. It's really terrible. And when I think about it now, and I think about why I thought death was a better option than continuing to live, it was this one small thing of believing that my identity was connected with what I can do. And so I just thought it was worth it to share a little bit about that and to start a conversation about it, because Maybe you're where I was and you are living in a culture of legalism, feeling like you have to do and do and do and do, but maybe you haven't realized how deadly it really is, or why your joy is gone, or why you feel stuck, or why you feel like death seems like something better than continuing to live. And so I just want to tell you that you are valuable. You have worth, not because of what you do, but just because of who you are, because you're a person, because you're a human being, because you are alive and good and created in God's image. And even if all you do today is just wake up and breathe and live another day, you have value, and that's the thing that cannot be taken away. And if nobody else is here telling you that, I want to tell you that, because it's the truth. And so if you're struggling with any of these things, please leave a comment. Please share a little bit of your story. Please reach out to me. I would love to hear more about what's going on with you and share more of how I've thought through all this and work through it together, because we can keep going. We can travel on together. We don't have to be victims to this legalism that's so lethal. So thanks for listening. I hope you guys have a great day. See you tomorrow.